And good morning, Tampa. Motormouth in the zone behind the microphone, all crazy all the time. Happy TGIF for a good majority of you out there. As today, with the intergalactic reverse locks, last night went 1-for-1. Tigers let me down, but Bucks and the over lifted me up. Boomage. So tonight, with absolutely no game at all, yours truly is going to go ahead and break the rules. Of course, this is an imaginary pretend contest using imaginary pretend money, aka jelly beans. So at any time, the rules can be broken, as currently balance stands at 400. So yours truly is using the Sport Shuffle Intergalactic Reverse locks of the day. Yeah, this is going to be more than the minute if you hadn't figured it out already. Haha! Irony. And we have other irony to get to after this. But intergalactic locks, that will be 50 fantasy jelly beans on Air Force plus 3.5, and 50 fantasy jelly beans on Louisville minus 3.5 in the College of the Foot and the Ball. But if I ended up going 0 for 2 today, that means I'll be down to 300 fantasy jelly beans. But honestly, with the way the World Series is going as it is, it could be over after Sunday. How's about them apples? Yep. So, anywho, other than that, with what's going on, you just have to look at the ironic symmetry. We'll just go ahead and get to that now, that the Giants could sweep out the Tigers from the World Series, with the Tigers sweeping out the Yankees. See what I did there? That's right. Of course, then, besides outside of sports, you have radio and sports-type host personalities in the news for the wrong reasons this week. You have one who didn't get away with it, and you have one that could quite possibly have gotten away with it. One of the radio hosts for a major flagship radio station of the Ohio State University, aka Buckeye Nation, decided to tweet out about 10 days ago or so that one of the ESPN hosts, who happened to go to Michigan State, the only way that he could once again watch game day was if this particular host would get fired or die. Yeah, that's probably a tweet he should have asked for back. As a result, eventual suspension evolving into termination. He didn't get away with it, but a major well-known personality with the initials SA on the four-letter as well seemed to quite possibly have dropped. And if you go to Yardbarker or to the Sports Shuffle fan page, the Yardbarker article is there. It's easy for me to say that 3 times real fast backwards, is there with pretty conclusive video evidence that the major personality from the network quite possibly used a racial slur on first take, as long as that particular video still remains up until somebody decides to take it down. You know how that occasionally happens on YouTube. So the said personality then said, well, I was just talking too fast, which that certain personality is quite believable. And the explanation by the major network human resources department apparently was bought and sold. So this major network personality apparently is not in any kind of trouble that we know of, or has not received any ramifications for using the said alleged, even though there's conclusive video evidence, racial slur on first take. So we'll have to see if this turns into anything or just quietly gets dusted under the rug. Of course, a whole nother story. If you were a Bucks fan last night, you were happy. Minnesota Vikings fan, not so much. Bucks ran over them 36, not 37 because of a missed point after attempt, but 17. Dougie Martin with a rushing and receiving touchdown. Boom. Dude is on fire. You know that if either you started him in fantasy. I did in one league that I had him. Booyah. Or had to play against him, which I had to in another league. So, yes, double-edged sword of fantasy football ongoing. But what a game by Josh Freeman. Granted, not entirely accurate at times, but accurate enough to get the job done. It has been a while since A, a Thursday night football game has been enjoyable. B, a Buccaneers game has made you feel like, yes. Of course, some people would say, yeah, what about the Kansas City Chiefs game? True, then you had the New Orleans Saints game after that, and that kind of took some of the wind out of the sail. So you need a win against the Vikings, especially when Allday did what Allday did. It wasn't Allday's night to start out first with early, had the fumble, but then he recovered quite nicely. Yeah, he's going, yeah, I'm still around, suck it. But I tell you, and just the score, the offense, the Bucs defense, there was even a kerfuffle between Penn and Allen at the end. Very surprised nobody got ejected. Very, very surprised nobody got ejected. There was even a mini kerfuffle in the stands, quite apparently towards the end of the game, high price. So it's kind of interesting. Perhaps too much consumption of certain beverages, and perhaps somebody was a Bucs fan in Minnesota per se, having a lively debate with a Minnesota, I guess that's how you say Minnesota. And that's perhaps what I'm guessing. Perhaps somebody was like going, yeah, and the Minnesota fans going, you realize where you are, aren't you? So anyway, yeah, there's that. Then another story, as we're coming up just past 7 minutes here. Another story, it's David Stern apparently is going to resign in 2014. So how about this as an all crazy shuffle production? What's really going to happen is Roger Goodell will be stepping in because, you know, the NBA lost some money last year with a short season, so they got to recover some of the salary. So they're going to ask Roger Goodell if he can hire a deputy who, while Roger Goodell is paying attention to the NFL season's going on, the deputy will in fact run the NBA in his stead when the NFL football playoffs are done, Super Bowl concluded. Then Roger Goodell will step in hands on and take over as the commissioner of the NBA. Yes, that's something new in the offseason, since NFL players never get in trouble in the offseason, right? So that's my all crazy production. Of course, something else entirely different may in fact happen, but hey, that is quite possibly a theoretical scenario. Don't know which universe theoretically in, one about 70,000 times away, but hey, it's still theoretical. So, anywho, that's it for me. Go Bucks won a win last night. If you're a host of something, you better watch yourself, either what you tweet or what you say. Ooh, interesting week. Will that day off help the Tigers to rejuvenate and get the bats rested, or will it just add to the rust even more? World Series getting close to wrapping up a lot quicker than quite potentially anyone ever thought. And just one more time again, fire the cannons, even though, yes, I know it was an away game. Go Bucks. Gotta love it. What a Thursday night game that, for a change, my team won. And it was awesome. And bonus, it was also awesome for fantasy, too. Sometimes you have games that are like 10-7, and it's yawn, and you're like, okay, yeah, I started all the players on that team, at least 3 spots in my fantasy football roster wasted on Flying Ryan. I'm trumping him this week so far, because I started Doug Martin against the South Florida Storm. Oh, and then my other iconic move was, both my quarterbacks were on a bye, including one I just picked up, naturally, of course. So I had to dump Dalton, and I'm playing a Seahawks fan, Sir Thomas. I snagged one Russell Wilson. off of the waiver wire and started him. Well, Tom was like, yeah, we'll see how that works out. Indeedy, we will. Anywho, by the way, yeah, I'm using the closing theme for the opener and the closer. I'm switching things up. You gotta change things up every once in a while, right? So, that's it for me. You are still you, and I'm going to do my darndest to close and conclude one time, as opposed to infinite. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sports Shuffle and on Facebook just at Sports Shuffle. I'm gone.